talk about something that has me so damn excited. Oh my God, I'm so hyped. And by the way, too, I just want to brag a little bit. Can I brag a little bit? I would like to brag about my fucking instincts. Because there's this scooper out there, okay? Which, to be honest with you, there's a scoop. I like this scooper. Like, she and I are very friendly. Okay? But she is a hater. She hides the truth. She is manipulating the news cycle in order to try to get people to turn on Kevin Feige even further and to get really butthurt about all of this stuff. And it is my time to shine. Hello. And so what I'm saying is, like, dude, when Shine had those scoops where she was saying, like, oh, it's a stupid plot. He just wants to kill Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers called all the incursions. Doomsday is going to suck balls. There's nothing cool about it. There's no reason he looks like RDJ, you know, all this other stuff. My instincts were the first thing that told me, like, no way. Like, there's just no way. And my instincts were correct. And by the way, I did hear from some people after that she wasn't correct, which felt great. But until these people started coming out and confirming this stuff, it was still on shaky ground for me. I was like, oh, damn. Like, what if she is right? Okay. So anyway, I'm not saying that you should harass Shine. And I'm certainly not saying that every single post that she makes on Twitter should be flooded with comments talking about how she's a hater and that she should delete her account. I am certainly not saying that you should all try to do that at least once or twice a day. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I am saying is, this bitch be lying, bro. Like, this bitch be crazy. She be lying like, oh my God, it's nuts. Now, what's the story, though? What's the real scoop? What am I actually talking about here? I'm talking about a vendetta against the multiverse. Let me see if I can pull this up. This is really chill. So, according to Daniel RPK, because we got hit with a 1-2 punch yesterday. We got hit with a 1-2 punch from the pooper scoopers. The first hit was Daniel RPK. And the second was Alex, okay? So just walk with me on this. Doctor Doom will reportedly have a vendetta against the multiverse in Avengers Doomsday. And this is so good to hear. And it's good to hear from Daniel because, look, literally right up until this came out, the only person that was suggesting that Doom's motivation would be connected to the multiverse was Alex Perez. Everybody else had either played it coy or been very vague and hadn't like actually taken a step out at all to explain what Doom's motivation was in any way, shape, or form. And again, it seemed like what Shine was saying was to literally get people to think it was lame and had nothing to do with the multiverse. I mean, I guess incursions technically have to do with the multiverse, and we'll explore that a bit here as well. But hearing this from Daniel to say that he has a vendetta against the multiverse was like the very first time that anybody corroborated the stuff that Alex Perez had been reporting about Doom's motivation. Now, a couple of different things we got to discuss here. The word vendetta is really, really interesting. So I ask you, chat, what do you think a vendetta is? What do you think a vendetta is? And why would Doom have a vendetta against the multiverse? Right? It means it's personal, yeah. It means it's going to be nasty. V for Vendetta is in Doomsday confirmed. Yes. A car from the 80s. What? Vendetta equals personal beef. It did him wrong, and he wants revenge. And I took that shit personally. Yes, the Michael Jordan meme, yeah. Because they wiped out his universe. Maybe. A reason to take revenge because he was deprived of a life. Wow, yeah, you guys are on it, okay? And then Propa says, imagine Doom watching the Toby train scene or bank fight with Doc Doom from a distance. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And I actually hope that stuff like that happens. But anyway, more to the point. Let's get into this. Vendetta is a really interesting word. Vendetta is specific. I think vendetta is crystal clear. And I think if he has a vendetta against the multiverse, it means it is personal. There is something about the multiverse that he finds disgusting. And it can't be. I love how much you guys said it has to be personal. Because that's the key factor here. Simply the fact that incursions were caused and the multiverse itself will inevitably end in collapse is not enough to create a vendetta. I want to repeat that point because it's very important. Simply realizing that the multiverse is inevitably going to lead to collapse is not enough to create a vendetta. Do you understand that? Does everybody understand what I'm saying there? That is not enough to make it personal, because that's actually the most impersonal thing that you could possibly be mad about. Oh, so a natural evolution of the universe is that it ends in chaos and then there's going to be incursions and then there's fucking... That's actually the least personal shit ever. How could you have a vendetta against a natural part of, like, just what happens in the universe? No fucking way. That is not vendetta. That's like, maybe he's mad. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he doesn't like it. And it reminds me a little bit of... So In Time Runs Out, right? And in the whole Hickman thing, which is so great, and we've revisited before, it all starts with Reed Richards saying, everything dies. Everything dies. And I accept that. But what I cannot accept, what I will not accept, is an unnatural early demise of everything. So even Reed is like, hey, everything dies. I'm okay with that. And if I thought that this was just something natural happening, I'd be chill with it. But this is not natural. Something is happening. Something is destroying the multiverse. It's destroying it early, and that's not okay. Even that is not a vendetta, though. It's not like you have a vendetta against it. You just realize it's not okay, and you feel the responsibility to stop it. This word vendetta means it's personal. Okay? Now, going back to all the stuff that Alex Perez has been talking about, right? Alex has been suggesting that Doom's motivation is connected to the multiverse that was constructed by He Who Remains. Okay, and for a while, all Alex would say is like a little bit of a tease here, a little bit of a tease there, that there might have been a version of the multiverse before this, or, you know, maybe there was something before He Remains, this, that, second, and the third. More recently, Alex has come out to clarify and say that there was a plan to have a prime universe. That prime universe is the version of the universe where Doctor Doom, the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the Wakandans, the Avengers, the X-Men, all of them exist in a single universe, just like the comic books, okay? That timeline exists. Then there, you know what? Let me do this, because you need to see my hands when I do all the hand puppet things, okay? So that's the timeline, okay? Then you get multiverse, multiversal war. He Who Remains ends the multiversal war. Then he goes all the way back, and he takes the prime timeline and he separates it out into strands. That's what the sacred timeline is. The sacred timeline is X-Men, you go here. Fantastic Four, you go here. Spider-Man, you go here. X-Men, you go here. And then eventually, yes, they all start popping up in each other. But what it seems like is He Who Remains did this on purpose for some reason. We don't understand why exactly, but it connects to something else that Alex recently said, okay? And this one's wild. This was maybe a month ago that he said this. He said that in the original version for Doctor Doom, because Doom was going to pop up in Secret Wars even before Kang got in trouble and everybody realized Kang was lame, Doom was going to be in Secret Wars. What Alex was explaining was that in the original plan, it would be explained that He Who Remains separated certain elements out of the sacred timeline because they were too dangerous. And those things, mostly the X-Men and Doctor Doom, after Secret Wars would be put back into the timeline. And in fact, Doom was supposed to be the big bad of the mutant saga, because both the mutants and Doctor Doom were put to the sideline by He Who Remains. The sacred timeline was given priority. They were pushed to the side. And then eventually, after the Secret Wars, and they're put back into the regular timeline, what Alex suggested was they would do something with Doom that would make the audience be like, oh shit, maybe Kang was right. Maybe Doom shouldn't have existed. Maybe this is too wild. And in fact, maybe the X-Men should not have existed as well. Now, the only reason you need to know that is because that continues to show you why Alex said what he said about Doom in the other universes. Because if the plan was always that he remained separated out. It's unnatural. That loop was going to end, and then we were going to get back into a regular reset Marvel universe with Doom as the big bad and the mutants. Well, all that happened now was they moved that from the mutant saga, and they've slammed it into Doomsday. That's what Alex reported. Like, so that's how they changed it. So Doom was going to be sort of a footnote in Secret Wars, maybe even eventually the big bad that they had to betray or whatever, right? And then it was going to be like the big bad of the next saga. Okay? Now that's Doomsday. So I think what they're going to do, and this is something that Alex has teased as well, is they're going to make it so Doom is going to understand this about the multiverse. And let me just ask you the question. It's the most obvious question ever, and we all know where this is going, but I'll ask it for the sake of landing the plane, so to speak, right? If Doctor Doom goes out into the multiverse, he sees the incursion, and he's like, oh man, incursions are bad. And he looks out into the multiverse, and then he sees the sacred timeline. And then he learns about the TVA, and then he learns about Kang, and then he realizes, oh my god, this entire multiverse is fake, because it's all branching off of a manipulated timeline that Kang made lame as fuck. Is that enough to give Doctor Doom a vendetta against the multiverse? Yes or no? That's the question. Does that give Doom a vendetta against the multiverse? Obviously. You guys are saying no. That's crazy to me. Of course it does. Number one, I think you don't understand the character of Doom. If you're saying no, you straight up don't understand the character of Doom. And that's okay, but you just don't understand Victor Von Doom. So to Victor Von Doom, the idea that there was a natural version of reality that then got manipulated and he was pulled out and made less significant by a different character, Victor Von Doom, who's so full of pride, would not abide that. 0% chance that a character like Victor Von Doom would be able to live with the fact that his entire existence is bastardized and changed because some other super powerful being beat a war and then remade reality. Does it make more sense now? Yeah, and then that's another thing. So Trev points out corrupting Doom to be an Iron Man would be a giant insult as well. Of course. Now that I'm just not 100% sure on because that's like my personal theory. I'm not sure that they're even going to do this, but let's take it there. Let's take it there. Maybe it's not just that Victor was pulled out of that timeline. Maybe it's that Victor was pulled out of that timeline, meaning the essence of Doom was removed from the sacred timeline. But then there's this variant of him, this character that has to exist, that is born as Victor, but does not live the life of Victor to learn magic and technology. And what if that character on the sacred timeline is adopted by the Starks and raised to be Tony Stark? And to take it a step further, what if Kang did this on purpose to prevent the Victor Von Doom variant on the sacred timeline from being a threat to him? Yeah, no, that part's a reach, 100%. That part's a reach, and that's why, like, I don't bring it up all the time. I'm not sure that that's what's going on. But this idea of a vendetta against the multiverse, like, here's what I would want you to tell me. What else could there be? I saw some people saying it could be his family. Dr. Doom's family is destroyed. Okay? Again, you just don't know the character of Doom. You just don't know the character of Doom. Doom doesn't even have a fucking family. What family? Who are you talking about? His mother that dies when he's a child? His father that dies when he's a child? The love of his life that he abandons to go become Doctor Doom? What family are you talking about? Victor Von Doom becomes Doom, an antithesis of the idea of family. He doesn't have a family. Doom needs no family. Why the fuck would Victor need a family? Come on, man. Like, This guy, his family. So the multiverse just destroys his perfect fucking family, and then he just becomes Doctor Doom and gets all butthurt and he has a vendetta against the multiverse because it so carelessly destroyed his family. Well, then, let me ask you this. How does he then become a god? He's going to become God Emperor Doom, right? How does he become a god? So you think just a random-ass character that's an Iron Man variant whose family gets destroyed by the multiverse and then he becomes Doom, you think that guy's just going to also stumble into becoming a god? No, and in fact, I'll jump ahead just a little bit here because there's a part in what Alex is describing where he's talking about the power set of Doom. Okay? And he says Doom's vast genius from studying the multiverse is a part of his power. Okay? So if Doom is studying the multiverse, and that's a source of his power, and he has a vendetta against the multiverse, don't you think these things are connected? So to me, and it's of course, it's up for grabs, it's speculation, we don't know 100%, right? But to me, this is the biggest cosign yet that what is going on with RDJ Doctor Doom, because again, in order for you to not see where I am coming from right now, then you must imagine that there's zero actual reason that RDJ was cast as Doctor Doom, which some people still believe to this day, even though the Russo brothers said on stage at San Diego Comic-Con 2 years ago, nobody else in the world could play Doctor Doom, this version of Doctor Doom. It had to be him because of the power of the Marvel multi-universe. That's what Joe Russo said. So, like, if you really think there's nothing to that, there's nothing that they're cooking, you just haven't been paying attention. That is absolutely the deal. That's what they're cooking. Yeah. Tony being Victor variant is the best way to go. I think so, yeah. What if an Iron Man becomes Doom in the same way that Strange became Dark Supreme Strange in What If? Sure, I'm not saying that's not possible. What I'm suggesting to you is that cannot possibly be the activating idea that McFeely had. That cannot possibly be the thing that they're all really excited about. There's something else going on. Not to say that that's not cool, but you're talking about like just some mix and match multiversal shit, which is great. Like, one of my favorite things they did in Battleworld was they made the Punisher get possessed by the soul of Doctor Strange. And so the Punisher used these, like, fucking spiritual guns and shit. It was crazy. But, like, that's not a good enough reason to bring RDJ back. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. That's cool. That's fun, nerdy shit. But I believe there's more to it. I believe what they're doing has a purpose. Yeah. All right. Well, that's just the first one, dude. That's just the first one here about Doctor Doom's shit. And actually, there's one other thing I want to read here. There's one other thing I want to read for you. Okay. And maybe this will help. Maybe this will help you guys to understand. Okay. Some of you I just don't know about, but maybe some of you will get this. So the question to Alex was, what will make Doomsday's story stand out amongst all other MCU films that will hopefully ensure it's a worthy successor to the Russos' previous MCU work? Alex's answer here is long, but he says, the short answer is yes. The long answer is a pattern. The Russos have always had one common pattern in most of their MCU films. That pattern being making the antagonists of their film have a valid motivation to justify their actions. Alexander Pierce and the Winter Soldier believed that if humanity were left unchecked, without oversight, chaos would ensue because of free will. That's why he established the Project Insight with Hydra. With Baron Zemo in Civil War, his family died in the Sokovia fight during Age of Ultron, and as a result of the Avengers' battle with Ultron. So, he sought to destroy the Avengers within, making them fight each other. With Thanos, he saw the overpopulation as a ultimate threat to existence, so he sought to eliminate half of all life at random to restore balance to the universe. With Doom, it will be similar. A man scorned by the incursions that are happening across the multiverse, dooming countless realities, and he wants to bring an end to all of that by any means necessary. So that's kind of interesting, you know? And again, he does say here that he's scorned by the incursions. I can't imagine I can't imagine how or why Doom specifically would be scorned by the incursions if it were not connected to the Prime universe. For me, I just don't see a way that that happens. Unless he's not from 828 and his universe was destroyed. That's possible. You know what I mean? Look, there's some theories here. I've got a pretty crazy theory. And in fact, let's just get into the next one, man, because I've got some really crazy theories about this. But we need to talk about the X-Men, okay?